What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome back to EP09 Bodybuilding. It is the day of the 2025 EVLS Prague Pro prejudging, and we have another stacked lineup yet again this year, starting off with an update from Martin Fitzwater. Looking absolutely insane going into the show. Martin saying that he wanted to bring more fullness to this show as compared to what we saw at the Olympia, and I think we are definitely seeing a fuller version of Martin Fitzwater, but still maintaining that conditioning. You can see, you guys, he looks absolutely hard as nails in this update. You can really see it in the legs, especially. For me, the big thing for Martin at the Olympia was the definition that we saw in the biceps when he was doing his front shots. That is a marked improvement from what we saw the last time that Martin took the stage. So big improvements from Martin Fitzwater. He will definitely be fighting for a top 3 spot. In a lot of people's minds, he'll be fighting for a top 2 spot at this show, which I think that he definitely does have the potential to take that top 2 spot. Of course, Samson Dauda going to be some very difficult competition for Martin, but it looks like he is going to be bringing his best. And of course, we have Keone Pearson. That is an absolute wild card going into this show, and I'm sure that you guys saw the title of this video. There's some X factors when it comes to Keone going into this one, despite how he's actually looking. We'll get to him in a minute, but it does look like somebody said something about Martin somewhere online that he definitely didn't appreciate. Martin posting on his stories just at 1 day out of taking the stage in Prague, saying, if you're bodybuilding media, you're blocked because you're garbage for the sport. If you're not blocked, congratulations. I feel you're doing a good job and respect the content you put out. All you others are clickbait clowns. Now, I have no idea who said what about Martin to really prompt making this post, but clearly Martin less than impressed with some of the media out there. And look, fair is fair with Martin actually having this opinion. There is definitely media out there that does not paint him in the greatest light, and a lot of speculation that takes place, unjustified, I will say. I'm not going to sit here and name names, you guys, but I'm sure you guys know some of the outlets that I'm talking about, okay? At the same time, this is professional bodybuilding, and you are a public figure being assessed on your physique, okay? This is not an easy thing for modern day bodybuilders to go through. There is going to be criticism. You are not going to like all of the things that people say, and you're not going to like all of the opinions that are put out there by you. Does it get personal for some guys? It absolutely does. Is that the case right here when it comes to Martin Fitzwater? I have no idea, but you guys, this is just how the game goes. You know, some people play the game differently than others. We know that without question, but obviously this is something that was bothering Martin going into the show. But regardless of that, we will see Martin Fitzwater step on stage very soon to try and defend his Prague Pro title. And look, going up against a very pissed off Samson Dauda, who's going to be apparently 20 pounds heavier than what he was on the Olympia stage. Samson very unhappy with how he looked when it came to that show, trying to come back with an absolute vengeance. And look, a former champion of this show himself. So this is going to be a difficult one for Martin Fitzwater. Going up against a guy like Keone Pearson, again, a very serious wild card. And Michael Krizo, do not count out Michael Krizo. He is going to be big, bursting full. He is going to be conditioned. Actually, we'll talk about Krizo in just a second. But look, you guys let me know what you think about this version of Martin Fitzwater. Do you think that he does have a chance to really defeat Samson Dauda? Because that's who we are assuming is going to be the top 2 at this show. Does Martin stand a chance with a 20 pounds difference of what Samson is going to bring to the Prague Pro as compared to the Olympia? There are no recent updates of Samson Dauda really in the last few days, so the question being, will this 20 pounds translate over to a better physique on stage? Or is the 20 pounds going to be too much, too quick, and a guy like Martin can come in and defeat Samson on detail, shape, conditioning? It's going to be very interesting. Look, you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments below. We've got an update from Michael Krizo at 1 day out of taking the stage again here in Prague, coming off a very dominant victory at the British Grand Prix. So he is qualified for the Olympia at this point, you guys. This is really a show that he does because, look, The EVLS Prague Pro is one of his biggest sponsors, and we typically do see him step on stage here. The question is, will he be better than what we saw at the British Grand Prix, and will he be able to crack that top 3 on this stage? I think it'll be hard to tell if he's in better shape than what we saw at the British Grand Prix, because it was terrible quality with not many high quality images after the show, you guys. I don't really know what it's going to look like when it comes to Krizo here, but I do know that he is looking absolutely ridiculous when it comes to the roundness, the fullness, the conditioning. We did definitely see, I think, a noted improvement in conditioning from Krizo and from his posing. A lot of people criticizing Krizo's posing when it came to the British Grand Prix. Yes, it still needs a lot of work, but was it better than what we saw the last time he took the stage before the British Grand Prix? It absolutely was. So that is a marked improvement for Michael Krizo. Now the question is, will he be able to crack that top 3 at the Prague Pro? The assumption is that Krizo will be going up against Keone Pearson, looking at that top 3 spot. So the question now is, what can Krizo do to defeat who's considered one of the most shapely bodybuilders to ever take the stage, being Keone Pearson? And I think Krizo is going to look bigger on stage. Obviously, he has at least 6 inches in height on Keone Pearson. I think that the conditioning is going to be comparable based on what we're seeing here from Krizo. And we're hearing out there in the bodybuilding world that Keone Pearson no longer working with Patrick Tuor as well. Again, we'll talk about Keone in a second. But Krizo working with George Farah now for at least their second show. I know that for sure. I think that they do have a really good formula figured out when it comes to Krizo and really dialing him in. I think that this is improvement after his shoulder surgery. You know, that's something that he really did need to get corrected. He took the steps to do it, and we are seeing the best version of Michael Krizo now in 2025. And there are definitely legitimate reasons why Keone Pearson can beat Michael Krizo. And look, a lot of the predictions out there do have Keone defeating Michael Krizo. You got to consider the fact that Keone is way more aesthetic than Krizo could ever hope to be. Keone being, well, considered one of the most shapely guys to ever take the stage. Keone, I think, might be a little bit more conditioned. You know, I saw some of the updates from Keone. Again, we'll look at them in a second. Ridiculous when it comes to conditioning, you guys. Both have been criticized for their midsections, but at the same time, I think that Keone is going to be better when it comes to the back shots and Krizo's posing endurance. If he doesn't have that at least as dialed in as what we saw at the British Grand Prix, then he could end up in trouble. So Keone Pearson, definitely a contender to defeat Michael Krizo. However, for me, I really think Krizo is going to be so much bigger than Keone Pearson with comparable conditioning that when you go shot for shot, I think that Krizo has a legitimate chance of beating Keone. But you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Let me know if you guys have Krizo outside of the top 3, or are you one of the rare outliers that have him in that top 2 going into this show? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And so here we are at the much anticipated open debut of Keone Pearson, looking absolutely insane in these updates taken in Prague, you guys. This is crazy, crazy detail that we're seeing from Keone Pearson. And I think that he is trying to play the conditioning card when it comes to the Prague Pro. I know Keone not happy with how he looked showing up on that Olympia stage, opening the door just a bit for Sean Clarita to almost step through, in my opinion, to take home that title. Now, Keone being carried over the finish line by his shape and having, you know, respectable conditioning on stage, but it looks like he's really trying to silence everyone when it comes to anyone having even an inkling that this guy is nothing short of the legend that we all consider him to be in the sport of bodybuilding. Now, I do want to comment on the apparent split that has taken place between Keone Pearson and his longtime coach, Patrick Tuor. Apparently, this is being reported in the bodybuilding world that these guys no longer follow each other on Instagram. They have not tagged each other in any of their posts leading up to the show. So apparently this split has taken place. And look, you know what? I'm actually going to be honest with you guys. I spoke to Patrick Tuor about this stuff myself. When all this took place, I tried to go straight to the source to find out exactly what happened. And I was told things in confidence. And I am not going to repeat those things here, because you got to look at what Martin Fitzwater said when it came to his post, okay? There's no respect out there from some of the outlets in bodybuilding, and it's absolutely true. There are some places that just have no respect, and I will not be a part of that. I was told things in confidence. I will not repeat them here. I did not repeat them to anybody else that I know in the bodybuilding world. That is not going to change. These are personal matters between a client and a coach, and I try to make a note of it to not mess with someone's business and someone's money. So you know what? Best of luck to both of them. When it comes to Keone stepping on stage here, that's all I'm going to say about that, you guys, all right? Don't message me. Don't ask me. I'm not going to be putting out anything else on it. But when it comes to Keone stepping on stage here in Prague, he would have the blueprint at this point, you know, even given the fact that they don't work together anymore. I don't know if it's something that Keone will be able to replicate himself to bring himself in as good as Patrick would have, because we know that the last 24 to 48 hours, I mean, hell, the last few hours before you step on stage, you can screw up months of work very easily just in that short time period. So will Keone be able to bring himself in better than what we saw at the Olympia? We're definitely seeing a better version of Keone Pearson here. I will definitely say that. I think that the conditioning is looking fantastic. You can see he looks like he's harder. He looks like he's grainier. Will that translate over to the stage? That is the big question. You know, the fact that he looks like that here, does that mean he may not be able to carry that over to the stage? Are they going to miss the mark in Prague for his open debut? Very, very interesting question, but I do still think Keone Pearson definitely fighting for at least a top 3 spot. And this has been highly anticipated no matter what way you want to look at it, you guys. So this is going to be a very, very exciting show. Prejudging being Saturday, the finals being on Sunday. This is a 2-day show. We will be going live here on EP09 Bodybuilding, you guys. Stay tuned. This is going to be a really, really good show. But that's going to do it for me in this video. Check out biomuscle.com. Use code EP10 at checkout. Appreciate everyone supporting the channel thus far. But that's it for me in this video. Thank you guys for tuning in to EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.